You've seen how the impact of having less staff and more people in prison is really impacting on the ability to deliver any rehabilitation in prisons. It's become about warehousing people and warehousing people who come into that prison unwell, you know, with mental health problems, substance misuse problems, all sorts of challenges.
No rehabilitation or less rehabilitation. What does that mean? Is it more hours locked in a cell?
It means locked in your cell.
For how many? What are we?
Some people, we are seeing cases of people, because of staff shortages, being locked up the entire weekend from Friday through till Monday, and I mean that is simply traumatising for people. Imagine just not being able to get out at all, and how that plays on your ability to cope with the stress of the sentence. You can't access the phone to phone anybody, you're isolated, and how that really impacts on your mental health.
Yeah. And a lot of people would say, hang on a minute, what did you expect? You're in prison. You know, that is what you get when you go to prison.
I agree, but I think that the punishment is being deprived of your liberty. I don't think it's being placed in degrading situations that are actually not helpful for your long-term rehabilitation.
Now, how does the violence come around? I mean, this is a sort of rather stupid question, really, but obviously people locked in cells are not going to be getting up to any violence because there's nothing for them to do.
But the frustration builds and builds and builds and escalates, doesn't it? So then when people do, you can't hold people constantly.
So when they get out.
So when you get out, the anger and the frustration is absolutely at the tipping point and at the boiling point, and then people just flare up over things that generally could be managed in a more, in a different way.
Have you witnessed any violence or fights or things in prisons? You go and visit prisoners?
I've been working since my own release from prison. I've been working constantly in prisons and working directly with people who have been recently released from prison, having lots of contact. And I can see that the breakdown in communication, the breakdown in access to mental health services, to substance misuse services, to psychological interventions, how staffing levels mean people can't get to health care.
You mentioned substance misuse. The one substance people are allowed to misuse, but will be stopped from doing so, is tobacco. The smoking ban seems to be causing worry.
And that is really, you know, I think misjudged. I think that in my information that I've had recently around the smoking ban has been that people are then using spice and they are smoking it without tobacco, so it's it's unadulterated. So the impact of that has been that it's escalated people's mental ill health and violence levels.
Very, very briefly, the public want people to be punished. They want you supplying drugs. They want you to be punished for that. You've got 4 years. What is the alternative? Many people say you can't put that many people in jail. What could we have done to signal disapproval in the way that we did with women?
I just recently spoke to a magistrate about how we can minimise the amount of people that are being sent to prison, and her answer was that we need a menu of options for magistrates, that sometimes magistrates and judges run out of options. They run out of options to support people in the community to look at their offending behaviour. They don't have the ability to sentence people to mental health treatment, or they don't utilise that as much as they could. They don't have the option to direct people to substance misuse treatment orders. So I think we need to have a much more coherent approach to using community sentencing to divert people out of the criminal justice system.
Paula, thank you very much indeed for helping us with that. Well.